My name is Karen Packard. I am the owner of Central Mass Real Estate School, and this is just a quick overview on getting into the real estate industry and what it involves to get licensed in the state of Massachusetts. Just a little quick intro before we get started. We are a Massachusetts licensed real estate school. We teach the pre-licensing classes for people who are interested in getting a real estate license. We also teach continuing education classes. We teach new agent training. We have boot camps, and we also teach some consumer seminars for sellers and buyers and investors. But we primarily excel and focus on the pre-licensing class for people who are looking to get into the real estate industry. Central Mass Real Estate School is run by myself and my husband, Mark. We are both real estate licensed Massachusetts brokers. I have been in real estate for about 13 years. I have been a top producer in Massachusetts for the last 10 years. Mark does not work with clients on a day-to-day basis, but he is the marketing and training expert of our team and basically does all of the training programs. We teach all kinds of classes, and he does coaching and training and all sorts of other events as well. We also do flips. We've done rentals. We do investments. We've done commercial. So basically, when it comes to real estate, Mark and I have a ton of experience, and we have done most everything that you can think of in the real estate world. So you probably clicked on this to see what it's like to be in real estate, whether or not it's something that you think would be a good fit for you, and whether or not it's worth pursuing. Well, real estate is an amazing industry. It's a really, really fun job. It is something that gives you a lot of flexibility and you can work around your own schedule. And the best part is it's really lucrative. So I know agents that work part time that make well into the six figures every single year and do it around the schedule that they want to work. So you can do it part time, you can do it full time, you can do it nights, or you can do it just weekends, or you can do it just days, or you can do it just in the winter, or you can do it in the summer if you're a teacher. It has flexibility to it to make your own schedule the way that you want to do it. The other thing is it's really easy to get into. So in Massachusetts, the requirements are that you have to be 18 years or older, no criminal record, although I did put a little asterisk next to that because there are some exceptions. So feel free to reach out to me directly if you need to know the exceptions. And you have to be a U.S. citizen. So that's it. Those are the requirements to sign up for the class. U.S. citizen, 18 years or older, and no criminal record. And then real estate is fun. So, I mean, it really is a fun, flexible career that you can do at your own schedule, at your own pace. It's kind of like living on HGTV, although we don't necessarily get lunch with the girls every day on the beach. But it is touring houses, it's negotiating contracts, it's working with clients, it's helping people buy the American dream. So, I mean, it is a very unique career that you can do at your own pace and at your own schedule, and you can make a lot of money doing it. One thing to know about getting into real estate is that 99% of the time, you're going to be an independent contractor, not an employee. So that means you're going to get a 1099 at the end of the year. They do not take taxes out. You're going to have to pay those directly, but you're not an employee. So that gives you a lot more freedom than if you were actually employed by someone. There are no mandatory meetings. There's no mandatory dress code. There's no mandatory schedule. There's no taking a lunch break at a certain time. There's no approving vacation time when you want it or what days of the week you have to work. You don't have to be in the office from 9 to 5. You can work from home or you can work at the office. A lot of people like going into the office because they feel like they kind of get out of the house mode and don't end up getting distracted by kids or laundry or something else that should be done. But there's no mandatory office time when you're an independent contractor. And you can work as much or as little as you want. So obviously, the more you put into real estate, the more money you're going to make. But if you don't want to put 40, 50, 60 hours in a week, you don't have to. Nobody tells you what to do in real estate because you are an independent contractor, which means you get to determine your own way of running your business. So who might be a good fit for real estate? Pretty much anyone. Honestly, pretty much anyone. We get all kinds of people that come to our class. So people come to me and say, I really want to help my sister, my mom, my family members buy and sell houses. Great. I get people that say, I want to make, well into the six figures. Is this possible? Absolutely. I get people that say, I just want to do my own rentals or investment properties. I want to flip houses and I don't want to hire a real estate agent and lose that commission every time I buy and sell a house. Get your license, do it yourself. If you're thinking of buying or selling yourself and you just want to get more knowledge about the industry so that you're not taken advantage of or that you understand things a little bit better. Some people take my class just to do that and maybe never even get licensed. They just want it for the educational purposes. But more often than not, It is usually not a first career. This is typically a second career. It's funny, not too many people graduate high school saying, I really want to be a real estate agent. I do have a couple, but not a ton. But it's something that people usually do as a second option. So whether it is semi-retired or retired, and they want something that's a little less grindy than what they had in the first place. A lot of times it's nurses, firemen, and firewomen. A lot of teachers get into this because they have summers off and they want to make some extra money during their downtime. There is quite a few servers or bartenders or people that might work a night shift that want to do something else during the day. And then parents of young children that just want to make a little extra money while the kids are at school. And honestly, that's how I got started. I was a stay-at-home mom for a year. If you take our class, you'll probably hear my whole story because there's a big background to why and how I got into real estate. But the shorter version and the gist of it was that I was staying at home with the kids and I was bored during the day. You know, they were off at school all day long and I was looking just to do something. And I thought it would be kind of fun to make a little money on the side. And I got into real estate and it took off. So little did I know that I was starting something that was a lot bigger than I had planned. But it did start for me as just a, mother's hours kind of thing. And that's perfectly acceptable. There's all types of reasons why people get into real estate. And usually it's a good fit for almost all of them because it's such a flexible career. You can make it what you want it to be. So there's no perfect fit. There's no one size fits all to real estate. You can feel free to reach out to me if you're wondering if your particular scenario would be a good fit. But in general, I get people in all walks of life, all ages, all job situations. And, it really is a flexible enough career to work for most people. So I wanted to put together an idea of what my typical day is. This is a little bit skewed because I run the real estate school as well. So this is not someone that just does real estate all the time, but kind of looking back to when I was only doing real estate, this would be my typical work schedule. Also, my kids are a little bit older now because I got into this when they were in middle school and now they are in their 20s. So, I don't have to worry about bus times. But one of the best parts about real estate is that no day is the same. So it is a very unique industry. Every day is going to be a little bit different. Some days you're going to have appointments. Some days it's more office work. Some days there's no work to do. Some days you're doing like social media or marketing ideas. But every day is a little bit different. But to give you an idea of what a typical day could look like, usually when I first started, I would get up and I would have breakfast with my family. My husband and I still have breakfast together every morning before we go off and do our own thing. But, when the kids were around, we would have breakfast together. I would pack lunches and get them all out for the day. Then I like to work out. So I work out from home. I have a home gym, and that's usually the first thing I do once everybody's gone out of the house. Then after my workout, I start to check and return emails from home. I usually go through everything. I return some emails. I check on some social media. I check like little things. Then I go into the MLS. I look at some new updates, what might have come on the market overnight, what might have gone under agreement. I like to see if there's anything new that might have fit a buyer that I was scanning things for. So I go through the MLS. I check all my emails. I check any updates that are going on. And then, that's usually my morning routine. My afternoon, I typically schedule my showings or appointments with appraisers or inspections and things like that in the afternoon. And so depending on the day, you may or may not have those types of appointments. Then when I first started, my son was in middle school and our bus stop was a couple miles away. So it was actually like a 3-mile walk. So I told everybody that I had an appointment at 3:30. So I was just sitting at the bus stop waiting for him to get off the bus so he didn't have to walk home. But I had an appointment every day at 3:30. Enabled me to do my mom thing, bring my son home, get him a snack, make sure he was all set. And if I had to, I went back out and did more appointments. So I might have another hour or two worth of work, depending on what other people's schedules were. But I was always able to fit in what I needed to with my kids. If there was a sporting event or a club that he was in, and I had to go to a soccer game that afternoon, then I just made sure it didn't conflict with any of my appointments. So I really did have the flexibility to focus on my kids and be mom first and be real estate agent second. But, like I said, now he's in his 20s, so I don't really need to do that as much. But I wanted to show that you can do that. After my appointments were done, I usually had family time. I'd come home and make dinner. Depending on if you're working with buyers that work late, you might have to do a showing or two at night every once in a while, but that wasn't a typical night for me. Every once in a while, I would go out after 6 o'clock, but you can, again, arrange that around your own personal schedule and whether or not you want to work with that client. So if you're always going to be doing evening showings, maybe that's not a client you want to take on. Every client that you work with is your choice. No one will ever tell you have to work with a client. So if they have a schedule that conflicts with yours, just refer it to somebody else and you can make a referral fee instead. So that's sort of what a typical day looks like. But as I said, every day is a little bit different. So, and everybody runs their business slightly different. That just gives you a general idea that you can work your own personal things around your real estate appointments. So, what are you allowed to do as a real estate agent? When you get licensed in Massachusetts, most people think of real estate agents as selling residential real estate, which is what most of us do. But when you do get your Massachusetts license, you are also able to work in commercial real estate and you can do rentals. So you can work with landlords or tenants and find rental properties as well. Once you get your Mass license, you can do anything real estate related. That covers all of it. As I said earlier, it is actually pretty easy to get started in real estate. So every state is a little bit different, but in Massachusetts, we have a 40-hour mandatory class. You can take that at any licensed real estate school, including my school, but regardless, it has to be a 40-hour class and it has to be a licensed Massachusetts school. Once you have completed the 40-hour classroom hours, we will get you in touch with the testing facility. That is run separately from the schools. They are not linked at all. You do not take the test through the real estate school. Once you pass the test, it is a multiple choice test. Then you would get your license. After you get your license, you have to sign on with a broker. So that could be a national brokerage like a Keller Williams or a Remax or a Century 21, or it could be a local independent broker. But it has to be a Massachusetts licensed broker. So in Massachusetts, if you would like to own your own company, after 3 years, you can get your broker's license and you can open your own real estate company. But for the first 3 years of being an agent, you have to work under a broker. That enables you to have their insurance for any errors and omissions. That enables you to have liability through them. They are there to train you and they are there to double check your contracts and make sure you're compliant with everything. So once you get your license, you sign on with a brokerage and then you are able to sell real estate in the state of Massachusetts. Another good thing to note is that from the time that you finish the class, you have up to 2 years to pass the test. So some people don't like to take it right away because they want to study a little bit more. Some people don't pass on their first try, so they need to do it 2 or 3 times. That gives you 2 years from the time that you finish the class to pass the test before you would have to take the class again. So take the class, you sign up for a class, 40 hours, then you take the test, then you sign on with the brokerage, and you are ready to start your new career. There's really not a lot that you're going to need to get started in real estate. It's not a huge expensive industry to get into. You are going to want a computer or at least access to one at the office. You are going to want a smartphone because there are certain apps that will make your life a lot easier. Reliable internet is key. You do have to be logging onto the MLS and different various websites. Reliable transportation is probably the biggest thing. You have to meet people at showings, you have to meet appraisers, you have to meet inspectors. So having reliable transportation is key. And you got to have appropriate clothes. We are in a professional environment, so you're not going to want to look like you just rolled out of bed. Doesn't mean you need to wear pencil skirts and three-piece suits, but you are going to want to have some professional clothes when you're meeting with clients. That's pretty much the gist of getting into real estate. That's sort of the background on what you need to know, what it entails, what you're going to have to do. 40-hour class, pass a test, sign on with a brokerage. So now, if you're interested and you decide you do want to pursue this, you want to find a school. So our school, Central Mass Real Estate School, is located in Sterling, Massachusetts. We are right off of 190 on Route 140 outside Worcester. We have designed a school with Mark and I that is a little bit different than a lot of other schools in the area. We are in person only. So that was one of the biggest things that we changed. We did do remote and we did do Zoom for a while, especially during COVID, but the pass rate of our students was much higher when it was in person. We like to have an interactive class. We like to talk to people. There's a lot of energy in the room. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of interaction. We do some videos. We do some games. So we do not do anything pre-recorded and we don't do any online or remote classes. We help with job placement. We help you with choosing a brokerage. I have worked at national brands. I've worked at independent brands. I now own my own company. So I know the differences in different brokerages and we can help guide you to see what's the best fit for you. We can even help you get in touch with some brokers in the area that are always hiring. So it's not hard to find a job in real estate. And with Mark and his marketing background, we are always offering marketing ideas, advertising tips to see how you get started, all kinds of stuff. So there is required material that we have to go through for the class, but there's always extra time that we spend on marketing and just fun things in real estate, tips for our students, all kinds of stuff. So our class is a little bit different. Like I said, you can find online and pre-recorded, but they are very different. And Both of us have taken multiple classes because you do have to take them when you're an agent, you have to take them when you're a broker, and then you have to take it again when you're going to be a teacher in order to get your teaching license in Massachusetts. So Mark and I have taken multiple versions of this licensing class. And you really got to look around because one time I had a teacher read the book for the entire 40 hours, never looked up, never interacted with the class, just read the chapters, every chapter. Every night was a different chapter. I had another one that was pre recorded, and his voice was extremely monotone and very difficult to get through the 40 hours. And then I had one class that it actually every day was a different instructor. So the class was licensed and there was a teacher in the class, but each day they brought in an appraiser or a inspector. They weren't instructors. They were just people that came in to teach those chapters. And I just didn't feel like it related back to real estate the same way. There is a lot of terms, a lot of vocab. There's a lot of things that are really hard to memorize that you're going to need for the test. And Mark and I take experiences that we've both had in real estate and we explain why these are important. We explain why you need to know them. We give you some funny, anecdotes on things that happen to us, which hopefully make the things more memorable so that you can pass the test because it is a lot of information. So you want to do some research when you're looking around for a school. Make sure you find one that's a good fit for you. I understand that remote and pre-recorded are convenient for people, but you really do get what you pay for. And we do have a better pass rate than most of the students that do the pre-recorded. In fact, a lot of students who do pre-recorded end up taking our class as a second class because they don't pass the test. So just look around, make sure you're getting a licensed Massachusetts school, and then figure out what kind of teaching style they have before you sign up. If you are ready to get started, all you need to do is go to our website, which is centralmassrealestateschool.com. Check the screen. The Mass is MASS, not just MA. People sometimes make that mistake. We do have our next class listed on there. We teach from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., Monday through Friday for 2 weeks. So I know that 10 o'clock can get late at night and people get tired. Like I said, our class is pretty fun. People bring snacks. You can eat in the class. We're pretty low key. Bring drinks, bring whatever you need to stay awake. We try to keep you motivated and engaged throughout the whole time. And I do understand that 10 o'clock can be late, but it is 2 weeks. So this is about starting a new career and getting into something new, and investing 2 weeks into something that might be a little tiring is well worth it. But at the end of 2 weeks, you are finished your 40 hours. We give you the application for the test and you are completed with our class and you can move on to the next stage. So again, if you want to register, you go to our website at www.centralmassrealestateschool.com and sign up. That is it. That is all the information I have for you. Hopefully I've answered any questions that you might have. Here is my contact information in case you have any other questions that I didn't cover. Feel free to reach out to me by email. I do check my email constantly, so I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. If you want to register for a class, just go to our website and register, and hopefully we will see you at our next class.